May 1945, Germany. The war in Europe had ended. The shooting had mostly stopped. The dying had not. Across southern Germany, American troops occupied towns that only weeks earlier had been battlefields. Roads were crowded with refugees. Bridges carried military convoys one day and civilians pushing handcarts the next. Entire cities were standing, yet somehow looked defeated. Victory had arrived. Peace had not. Every morning brought another convoy of prisoners, another warehouse filled with captured records, another room where former enemies now faced one another without rifles between them. One such meeting took place outside Munich. It was expected to last less than an hour. Instead, it produced a conversation remembered long after reports had been archived and uniforms packed away. The American officers waiting inside already knew one thing: General George S. Patton would be attending personally. No one questioned why. Some meetings required signatures. Others required authority. This one required both. Among the prisoners brought in that morning was a German general who had commanded armored formations during the final years of the war. He had fought in France. He had watched American columns move faster than intelligence believed possible. More than once he had attempted to halt Patton's advance. Each attempt had failed. Now the war was over. For the first time, the two commanders would meet face to face. Before we continue, if you enjoy untold stories from World War II that focus on the people behind history rather than just the battles, consider subscribing for more documentaries like this. The German officer's name was General Karl Brenner. 60 years old, a career soldier. Not known for dramatic speeches. Not known for emotional displays. His reputation among both allies and enemies was that of a disciplined professional who respected military ability wherever he found it. 3 days before the meeting, American intelligence officers had interviewed him. They noticed something unusual. Whenever Patton's campaigns were discussed, Brenner's tone changed. He criticized Allied strategy when appropriate. He defended German decisions where he believed they deserved defending. But when Patton's name entered the conversation, he stopped arguing. He understood momentum, Brenner reportedly told one interrogator. Most commanders wait until opportunity becomes obvious. He created it. Those comments eventually reached American headquarters. Nobody thought much of them. Until the meeting itself. Patton entered the room shortly after 9 o'clock. He removed his gloves, placed them neatly on the table, nodded once toward the officers present. No speeches, no introductions, only business. The first 20 minutes focused on troop movements, surrendered equipment, missing records, and logistical questions. Everything remained professional, almost detached. Then, as the meeting drew toward its conclusion, Brenner asked through the interpreter whether he might make one final statement. Permission was granted. He slowly stood. Years of war seemed visible in his face. So much has been lost, he began. We fought one another for nearly 2 years. I studied every commander sent against us. He looked directly at Patton. You are the finest commander I ever faced. The interpreter translated. Then the room became still. Every American officer expected Patton to acknowledge the compliment. Perhaps with a simple thank you. Perhaps with a brief professional response. Instead, nothing happened. Patton remained seated. His hands rested quietly on the table. His eyes drifted toward the window. No one interrupted the silence. Several seconds passed, then several more. Those who knew Patton well understood something unusual was happening. He was not searching for words. He was remembering something. Months earlier, during the Battle of the Bulge, Patton had walked through a temporary cemetery established only hours after heavy fighting. Rows of wooden crosses stretched across frozen ground. Some graves already carried names. Many did not. One young lieutenant had apologized that proper markers had not yet been prepared. Patton reportedly answered only once. They'll never complain. Then he continued walking. Now, sitting across from the defeated German commander, those memories returned, not the victories. The cost. He finally looked back at Brenner. I appreciate what you've said. The interpreter paused before translating. Patton continued. But if you truly wish to honor the victories of my army, give that honor to the men who never came home. Silence. Then one final sentence. I merely had the privilege of leading them. No one moved. The interpreter lowered his notes before quietly repeating the words in German. When he finished, Brenner did not answer immediately. Instead, he slowly lowered his head, not in surrender, not in embarrassment, in understanding. For years he had measured battle through divisions, fuel supplies, artillery strength, and operational decisions. Patton had just reminded everyone present that history often measures victory incorrectly. Maps remember arrows. Families remember names. One American captain later wrote that he had attended dozens of meetings after Germany's surrender. Most disappeared from memory within weeks. This one never did. Because for a brief moment, rank disappeared. There were no victors, no prisoners. Only soldiers acknowledging the price paid by those absent from the room. Later that afternoon, one of Patton's aides asked whether the German general's compliment had pleased him. Patton reportedly shook his head. No. The aide looked surprised. Patton folded the casualty report he had been reading. Compliments arrived too late for the boys buried over there. He gestured toward the military cemetery beyond headquarters. They earned them. I only received them. Those words never appeared in an official communiqué. No press conference mentioned the exchange. No photographer captured the silence that followed. History often preserves speeches. It rarely preserves pauses. Yet those who stood inside that room remembered the pause more vividly than any sentence spoken afterward. Years later, Colonel Thomas Reed, one of Patton's closest staff officers, was asked what separated great commanders from merely successful ones. He did not mention strategy. He did not mention tanks. He did not mention battlefield victories. Instead, he recalled that morning in Germany. What stayed with me wasn't what General Patton said, Reed explained. It was how long he waited before saying it. He wanted to make certain that when he answered, the credit left the room with the right people. Military historians often debate which campaign represented Patton's greatest achievement. Some point to Sicily, others to the relief of Bastogne, still others to the rapid advance across France. Those debates will likely continue, but for the officers who witnessed that meeting, greatness revealed itself somewhere else entirely. Not on a battlefield, not on a map, not in a victory parade. It appeared in a quiet room where a famous general was handed perhaps the greatest compliment of his career, and calmly refused to keep it for himself, because he believed the finest commander is remembered by history. The finest soldiers are remembered by those who loved them. And if leadership means anything at all, perhaps it means making sure history never confuses the two. So what do you think? Was Patton's response the highest form of military leadership, or should a commander simply accept praise as recognition for the decisions only he could make? Share your thoughts in the comments.